Dajte jih prižgati. Ja, kaj pa še dva? Okay. So, hello everybody, warm welcome at industry event at 23rd Festival of Slovenian Film. We have a panel called A New Boost for Documentary Film. We have great international guests in this panel that will join us in a second, which we will ask to present us their work in the field of documentary film in their own region. And also we will present you the picture of Slovenian documentary film production in the past years. First of all, maybe we have some greeting words from our guests, so we can just do the mic check. Hello, Rada, can you hear us?
Hello, good morning to everyone. I can hear you well. I'm happy to be part of this esteemed panel, and well, I wish I would be in Ljubljana now, actually. Such a wonderful city.
Hope to see you soon in Ljubljana. Hello, Hele, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you loud and clear, and thank you for having me today. Today I will share and explain the way a film commissioner works at film institutes in Denmark, Sweden, and Norway.
And there is Soren Tarp with us. He's a producer at Danish Film Institute. And he will present us. Do you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you well.
Okay, that's great, because I just changed the microphone. I'm here in Copenhagen, and I'm presenting the production and development support as seen from the Film Institute producer side.
Great, and so let's start. Let's start with greeting words from Ines. She's from Motovila, which is an organization. This is co-organizer of this event.
Thank you, Sinisha, and thank you everybody for joining us live here in the hall and online via YouTube channel and Facebook channel. So hello and welcome also in the name of Motovila Institute. Our main goal is to promote transnational and cross-sectoral cooperation in the culture and creative sectors. And we are also a Creative Europe desk. This is a national contact point for EU program for culture. And therefore, we follow international trends in the audiovisual sector, and we try to provide a complete service for the sector. This is why we are glad that we are being part of this year's Slovenian Film Festival industry program taking place in Ljubljana and online. And that we managed to revive the debate on the current state and the future of documentary film in Slovenia. The event was actually scheduled to take place March this year, but we canceled the event due to COVID restrictions. And I would like to thank Slovenian Film Center, especially Nika, that we managed to gather the professionals from abroad to present good practice they will use as an inspiration for the afternoon debate. So thank you for joining us. Now I'd like to invite Natasha Bučar, the director of the Slovenian Film Center.
Hello, everybody. Special greetings to our colleagues, Rada, Helle, and Soren. As Ines said, we planned to do this session already in March, and then the lockdown came. We already had some tickets bought, and everything was just to take place. But I'm really, really happy that we managed to put everything together and organize the event now when the festival is taking place. Why this event? Why here? Why in Slovenia? Why this year? Slovenian Film Center, as the main institution for film in Slovenia, published its strategy for the next 5 years. And one of the goals in our strategy for the next era is to build a special pillar for documentary film to boost the production of documentaries in Slovenia, as it was not the case till now. We, of course, need some good guidance, good practices. And we all know that 3 guests that are with us today are specialists and big experts in this field. Also, we are thinking, and we will be talking about what kind of schemes to build to support documentaries, and how the decision-making process should be made to boost the documentary field, since we know that all around Europe we have different systems of decision-making processes. In Scandinavia, as Helle was one of the commissioners, is totally different how they choose films, how they support films from what we do, because we have the system of not the commissioner, but the expert committees that are evaluating projects. And so it's a lot to hear from our guests today. And what I will be presenting now, of course in English for the event to be understood to everybody, is a short snapshot of what was the support for documentary films in Slovenia in the past 9 years. And we are only talking about the support from the National Film Center. As we know, documentaries are important also as content of media providers, but this is not the case. What I will be presenting shortly is the support Slovenian Film Center has been giving to documentaries. For our guests, Film Center is a public agency established by the Republic of Slovenia. It's been born as it is today in 2011, but it was the legal successor of the fund that was built almost within the years of independence of Slovenia, as first such institution in the new Eastern Europe at that point. The annual budget we have is 5.5 million, and we only do selective support, but in all the phases, selective support for development, production, promotion, and distribution. And the money that's given to these supports in whole is 4.3 million. So as I mentioned already, our strategy for the next years is we will be trying to build 3 pillars. Live action, as it was the most, of course, visible today, till today. Documentaries and animation should get the 3rd pillar, as we recognize that the documentary as well as animation in Slovenia are boosting, naturally growing organically, within the sector, and we somehow realized that we need to give special thinking and special support and reservations for this. Of course, today we are talking about documentaries only. Animation is another challenge in the future. Our ambition is to, of course, modernize support schemes, and among everything else, also in the strategy we put that we would be trying to establish a platform for development of creative documentaries that would include separate support schemes, strengthen, of course, the position of documentaries in Slovenia as well as internationally. Here is something about our support schemes where documentaries are eligible. Those support schemes have been here almost as they are today for almost 10 years already, which is, I would say, already a bit too long because the sector is growing, it's changing, and having 10 years the same schemes is probably something that we are challenging now, not being adapted to the new challenges of the sector, as well as not being flexible enough to support it. So what schemes we have? It's script development, where average number of documentaries that we support per year is 1.5. Of course, we don't support half of the documentary, but this is the number that automatically is saying what's the average. Project development, both supports for feature only, not for shorts or anything, where we support 2.5 documentaries per year. Production support for long feature production, of course, is yearly on average 2.1. That's the number for documentaries. Short film production, where also we have some kind of a big box where everything comes, all the short films, animation, documentaries, and fiction. But from that package, 0.3 documentaries are supported. And we have a special call and scheme for minority co-production, where features, long features and shorts are included. And here and this is something new that's in the last years, that we yearly support one documentary minority co-production in this scheme. And then we also have a special scheme that's been here for a long time already, and we call it audio-visual project scheme, that accepts the projects that are supported in this scheme are mostly projects that are subject of a television content. So here you can only apply if you have a media provider who is interested in your project, and it's mainly not cinematographic in theory, but it's more or less television documentary. Here the number is very big because it's been for a long time, it was called within the Slovenian sectors and filmmakers as the documentary call. And we all know what it means if you have a TV project called documentary call. So here average 10 documentaries per year. So what's going on with our support for film production itself, for film production in total? You can see here that the support in year 2018, it was the production 3 million, a bit more than 3 million euros given to film production projects, to projects for production. And from all these, we only have 200,000 for documentaries, which is, I don't have the numbers, but you can see it's not very much. From that 200,000 euros, it's 161,000 for featured documentaries, and 40,000 was given to minority for this one documentary that we support in this call every year. None for short and none for first feature film, which is also a special call, but which I didn't mention, but this is basically a production call that's searching for newcomers in the film business in Slovenia. In the audiovisual scheme, which is the scheme that I talked about, that mainly is meant to support projects for television, we gave out in 2018 almost 600,000 euros, and majority of that went to documentaries. In the development part, you can see it's 227,000 altogether, and 37,600 to documentaries. So this is not a very bad percentage, but still. Script development, you can see it's a big, it's quite sad that we see when analyzing that in 2018 we gave 5,600 euros for development scripting documentaries, and it's also a bit better in project development, 32,000, but altogether is 19% of the budget in whole for documentaries. If we go like a flash through the years of our institution since it was newborn in 2011, the support was given to 94 feature documentaries in all these years. 22 feature documentaries were selected, were supported by within the production scheme, and the majority, 72, in the so-called audiovisual works scheme. Average support is higher in general in the film production scheme, because the scheme is meant for the projects that are production-wise more demanding and more costly. So the average support to documentaries within the production scheme was almost 100,000, and in the audiovisual scheme, 45, almost 46,000. Financial support within the development scheme was given to 12 documentary projects in the script in the first phase, and in the second phase, 20 documentaries were supported. You see the numbers, around 60,000 euros for in how many years? It's 9 years, it's 8 years. Within 8 years, 60,000 euros for documentaries. Script development, project development, a bit less than 300,000 euros. So the numbers are as they are. So we had some projects that were going for the Eurimages support, and here are the 3 projects in the last years that gained the very important Eurimages support, which is not, we know it's not only the support financial wise, but also the promotion that the film gets once supported by Eurimages. It's Dancing with Maria, Ivan Gergolet, Houston, We Have a Problem by Žiga Virc, and The Business of Revenge by Maria Zidar. This is the film that's just to be finished, and we have great expectations for the international exposure of that newcomer. Media support, this was 2020 is a terrible year in most of the elements of our lives, also within the film. But for Slovenian producers, the media support wise was very big success. You don't have the data here. We missed the data because this was originally prepared for the March, and we updated it, but there are 3 projects that media supported a few months ago. Slovenian projects by 3 Slovenian producers, and I think I will ask Ines, who is to find me the proper data, because I think it's important to say it goes within what we are talking about. We need to, yeah, but it's selection process, which I started to talk about in the beginning. We have 1 call per year. Projects are reviewed by expert committees of 3 members. The law says there are 3 members. I cannot build a 5 members board or anything, but 3. And they need, by the system that we have, they need usually more than 3 months for decisions, which is 3 months is quite optimistic still, I would say, which is terrible. We were trying to shorten that, but the administrative process that we are obliged to use for this decision making is the law that goes for any public money giving, so to say, and it's simply not adjusted to what film needs. It does not enable us with flexibility to make decisions shorter. 3 months is the least they need. Expert committee's mandate is 1 year. It can be prolonged for another year. Experts do not follow the projects at all, nor are involved in any evaluation in the process. So I have the expert committee that reads the projects, chooses the projects, evaluates the projects, chooses them, and then we give out the decision, and that's it. And then the mandate of the expert committee is over, and they go, and the film lives its own life. What's the criteria for documentaries that we are using? In the development phase, it is first of all script development. We are, the experts are evaluating first of all the content, treatment or script, themes, universality, relevance of the theme, originality, author's approach, and then the expected attractiveness of the film for Slovenian or international cultural space, and in the other part, the evaluation of the script writer and his or her references. Altogether, there are 100 points, and at least 80 points are needed for a positive decision. In the next phase for project development, we are evaluating quite similar parts of the project. Content, of course, with where the criteria is same as with script. And then the director comes, because within the project development, you already need a director announced. So his references or her references, and producer, because in Slovenia, you can apply for the script support as a physical person, as a script writer, as a project leader, but with the next phase of project development, you need already a producer. And then there's a budget already that's evaluated, and you get 30 out of 100 points for media support additionally. For production of documentaries, there is criteria that, of course, is most points focused on content, universality, again, and relevance of the topic, originality of the project, clarity of author's point of view. That's important, and the expected attractiveness of the film for Slovenian or international cultural space. That's the majority of the points the project gets. And then there's director's references and director's notes, producer, his references, credibility, involvement of international co-productions. Then there is budget and financial plan. And at the end here in production scheme, it's also promotion and distribution plan that's been evaluated. What is going on with cinema distribution in Slovenia? For documentaries within that same time, 2011-2018, 36 documentary films were in distribution in Slovenia within that time. If we go through, if we look at it according to the schemes of our support, there were 30 feature productions supported from the production scheme, 8 films that went in distribution were supported within the scheme of audiovisual works, 2 as first feature films, and 2 of them as minority co-productions. 11 of the 36 documentaries in distribution in Slovenia were independent and were without any support from the film center at all. Total number of admissions for documentaries was 104,000 to the, you see. Average number of admissions for documentary was 2,900 viewers. Year 2018 was extraordinary for documentaries since we had 15 of them in distribution in Slovenia. With admissions, which were the films, the documentary films that in Slovenia had most of the admissions. The winner was Houston, We Have a Problem. That was also the international hit of the past few years, as if we look at the documentaries from Slovenia. It had, you see the numbers, the second one was Svinga. It was, I don't think this was supported by Slovenian Film Center. It's an independent film that was really successful in distribution. And then there was The Family by Rok Bicek that came out in 2018. It was quite successful in cinemas. The Last Ice Hunters was the film, also supported by the Film Center, and so on and so on. You can see it's a small country, Slovenia. Just to get our guests maybe the overview of it's a 2 million people living in Slovenia, and we don't have. I mean, those numbers having 1,800,000 viewers in cinemas in Slovenia is a huge success. And if we are talking about documentary, it's even, of course, more. About international achievements, maybe some of our guests, they know the projects. Mama Evropa by Petra Seliškar was success, Karpo Potnik by Matjaž Ivanišin, Home by Metod Pevec, and of course Houston as locally and internationally a successful project. And then The Family by Rok Bicek, Playing Man, those were the fresh we could say, by Matjaž Ivanišin, Daughter of Komora of our Siniša Gačić, who's moderating today. This is his successful film. And How Much Do You Love Yourself? It was a film by Nina Blažin. Am I right that this is the single female internationally successful documentary? Yeah, of course, the Petra, she is leading international director. Yeah, okay. Works in progress. What we have in progress now, a lot of documentary projects that are coming within the phase of development. There are films by Gregor Božić, Igor Zupe, Sinisha has another project, Nina Blazin, and the animation. No, this is all, this Rožle Brigar, yes, documentary, of course. These are all documentaries, of course. And this Business of Revenge is something from production that's coming out soon. And then in distribution, as so still, it's a very limited distribution in Corona times. But yesterday we had the opening of the festival here in Ljubljana, and Antigona, which is indeed, it's not a documentary, but it's a documentary mixed with some feature elements. I mean, the actors are also inside, but it opened the Slovenian National Festival. I don't remember when the documentary was the last time opening the festival. Somebody, I think it was the first time. So, right moment. Conclusions, so approximately 16 to 19% of our annual budget is allocated to documentaries together. 2.1 documentary feature films supported per year. 10 documentaries, audiovisual works supported per year, irrespective of the length of the project. Audience shows interest in documentary films. This is something that we see from distribution results also. Exceptional occasional achievements of documentary films abroad, and non-existing association of documentary filmmakers. Those are the three elements that we can put out of what we can maybe talk about today. And the festivals in Slovenia that would be specialized for documentaries, we have two specialized festivals. One is in Ljubljana, that has a long tradition, but it's not at all industry oriented. It's just showing screening films. And the second one is in Maribor, Doku Dok, which the director Maja will today join us in the afternoon. This festival is industry-wise active and ambitious to build a platform for documentaries in Slovenia as an industry event, which we all know it's very important for the boost of the industry. Public television, public broadcaster plays important role in content providing and also commissioning for documentaries, but this is something we are not focusing on today. So thank you very much. This is from me. Maybe I will be listening to our dear guests and if you will have any question regarding what I was presenting, I'm here and we can give feedback if needed. So I wish to everybody, those online, those here, and to our guests, a nice and constructive day. Here in rainy Ljubljana, we have two guests from Copenhagen. I don't know how you are spending days, but mostly, we'll spend it inside today. So enjoy, everybody, and I hope we get some, I'm sure we will get some answers what to do to get this in a better shape. Thank you very much.
I will not now sit here and moderate our international guests. So let's start with Hele. Can you inspire us, please, and present us the work of film commissioner? How do you pick up films? What do you search from in films? What does the process look like? We are all ears here in Ljubljana.
How does it look, the screen from?
Perfect.
So do you see the other slides on the left or just one?
The other also, so you could go full screen maybe.
I thought I learned how to do it.
So this is spot, it's on the right corner, right down corner. The next to minus, when you zoom the page, the icon on the left, when you have pressed this one, yeah.
Okay.
Let's start.
Is it all right? As said already, my name is Helle. I'm a journalist, and I've done more than 30 documentaries and for television, and 4 of them were actually supported by the Danish Film Institute. For 7 years, I produced a political live program at the DR, or it's the Danish Broadcasting Television. And now the interesting thing is that for 5 years, I worked as a film commissioner for Danish Film Institute. And when I ended this, I moved to Norway to be a film commissioner at the Norwegian Film Institute. So today I'm going to talk about how it is, best practice of being a film commissioner at the Danish Film Institute and the Norwegian Film Institute. And I did some research. It's very similar to the Swedish Film Institute as well, just so you know this. A little bit of numbers first, and I'm talking about the Norwegian Film Institute here. Søren will tell things about the Danish Film Institute. This is just approximately the number of euros the Film Institute can spend a year, and the 67 million euros is allocated to development, production, and distribution. And on what? Features and drama series. And when I say features, it means fiction. Documentaries and documentary series. And documentaries is in all length. And we spent approximately 5 million euros only on documentaries. And the Institute supports scripts and short films and games as well. Just to let you know that at the Film Institute, and it's a little similar to the Danish Film Institute, there are 2 film commissioners for feature films. It's the fiction films and drama series. At the Danish Institute, there are 3, and 1 is specialized in kids and youth films, and 2 film commissioners for documentaries and series. And there at the Danish, there is 1 specialized for kids and youth, 2 commissioners for script development, and it's more or less fiction scripts. They can't take documentaries, but it's basically fiction. 1 commissioner for short films, and there's 1 for games. And now to the interesting part, I think. It's how I work as a film commissioner. And when I say I, it means that we are all different. We are chosen because we are the person we are when we are chosen to be a film commissioner. And some people work a little differently, but we work within the rules. But this is how I work. When a film commissioner is employed, first of all, you apply for the position, and there's a board who finally employ you, and it takes forever. I tell you, you write an application, you get invited to an interview in Denmark. There were about 10 people sitting around the table, only 3 in Norway. And if you pass through, then you are invited to come and play a film commissioner. You are handed out a project, and you can look at that before you arrive, and then you are acting as you are a film commissioner, so the board can see how you are doing it. And one of the board members will then be the the filmmakers who are applying for money. And after that, you will go through, you will talk to a psychiatrist. It's not how it is in Norway. It's a little more complicated in Denmark. Just to let you know that we are selected, we are independent when we work, we are employed for a maximum of years, and it's in Norway it's for 4 years, and in Denmark it's for 5 years. It's the maximum of years you can be a film commissioner, and it means that you cannot stay forever and have your even though you are looking at all the rules, you are also yourself, and you can't run away from what you think about certain things. So that's why they don't want us to stay forever. The film commissioner decides which film project to support. And when I will go deeper into how we do this, and when it's about the amount of money, it's always in consultation with a producer colleague who are working, and that's Søren. He was my producer colleague when I was in Denmark, and he knows everything about the budget and is it too high, is something missing, etc. So it's always, do the film project apply too high or too low, then a producer will certainly find out. And this is something very important, I think, for you to know, that there are no deadlines, no calls. The filmmakers, the producers, apply whenever they're ready to apply. And here I just want to say that I came from 5 years in Denmark with no deadlines. And when I started at the Norwegian Film Institute, they had 3 deadlines a year, meaning there was a call for documentaries. And I said, why on earth are you doing this? It's not fair for the filmmakers. Whenever they are ready, they should have the opportunity to apply. And firstly, the colleagues at the Norwegian Film Institute, they said, but God, if you don't compare all the, let's say, 60, 70 projects you get in one call, if you don't compare them, how on earth can you find out which one is best? And I said, well, I'm not here to compare the projects. I'm here to find the best, to look at the talent and the potential. So if you just want me to compare, then I think you should make some kind of point systems and throw my salary in the pile, and then you can do it on your own. Then you don't need me as a film commissioner, because I'm there to help and find out the best. So after a short while, there were no deadlines at the Norwegian Film Institute. So if the projects we receive, I'll get back to this, around 200 or more applications a year just for documentaries. All the projects are being looked through by one of the 2 film commissioners, and if it's a no, the projects receive a rejection in writing, and it's an argument saying why it's a no, so they can go back and maybe work on this to come back and be better next time. It is possible to complain about the rejection, but it's not possible to complain about the artistic argument. When we receive applications, we do it in an online system. And in order to get access to the online system, the producer needs to be a company with a company, it's a CVR number, meaning that you cannot do it if you're just a person who wakes up one day and think you are a producer and then you want to apply. It's not possible. When we look through these applications, we have a maximum, and now I'm talking about Norway, a maximum of 5 to 6 weeks to answer the producer who applied. Is it a rejection, or is it we want to go further with the project, or maybe want to know more about the project? And I just want to pause a little and say what I look for in a project. And I know this is very similar to what my colleagues do at the Danish Film Institute and the Swedish. And I could hear it's also something you're looking at in Slovenia. Artistic qualities, what is the director's vision, the originality, complexity, how is the story told? Some people apply with, I think, good stories, and then they are thinking very much TV. You know, when you see TV, I love TV, but TV can also be interviews, a little visuals, the man is walking down the street, new interview, etc. We look for more artistic originality, so it is. So we are looking at the visual and the audio style, and we're also thinking about how do you communicate with an audience. If I'm interested to know more, if it's not a rejection, I could write questions to the producer. I'm always writing to the producer, even though there's always a director behind also, but it's the producer who is the one we are communicating with. I could invite for a meeting, but I would also always write questions and saying, I'm interested to know more about this and this and that, and I'd like you to come to a meeting if possible. Countries are big, especially Norway is much bigger than Denmark, so it could be a meeting on Skype or Zoom, etc. And if after the meeting I write a resume from the meeting, and I always write at the end, is there something I have misunderstood, or is there something I have forgotten? And I ask the producer to send it back to me. And this is more so we are, on same track. Have we been to the same meeting? I sometimes say. Now we know I can easily forget something or misunderstand something. So this is just to know, do we agree? Did I understand that you want to have this man as a main character, etc. And the producer will get back to me, and maybe I will have more questions. I do it in writing or over the phone, but I always make sure that the producer understand that this is what we have talked about. Then it could be a rejection, but it's very often a support, and it's very often a development support. The producer will apply for development or production. Very often, the first one is development, but sometimes they actually apply for support, and then we can have a talk about it, and maybe it will change. Then the producer, of course, the film team will have a good overview of what they need to develop, but also we talk about that, what's needed to go to find out in this development. And here it could be the cast of the film, there could be a treatment, the visual style, urgent recordings. I mean, is there something going on and you need to go and film this right away, etc. And then we talk about the deadline for the delivery and what kind of material. It could be scenes showing the cast, the visual style, treatment, step outline or research report, plan for next steps, budget and financial plan for the production. And it's all, we find out together what makes sense. And I don't think that people should just make a trailer just because it's possible. If they have, a vision going to pitch for us, it could be very good to have a trailer, but it's not necessarily if they are very early in the development. And we set a date for the delivery of the development, and there's always a possibility to postpone the delivery. The producer will write and tell why they are delayed, and I will always say yes to this, unless they say we have been lazy, but they don't do. So when the filmmakers they will develop, I just want to say what I do in that period of time. I will write or call and ask how things are going, just to let them know that I care about them. I will maybe forward mails about pitching for us if there are some coming up. I will be there to comment on trailers, look at materials, help with contacts if they, are looking for financials. And let's say that Danish television are not coming back to them, then I'll help them to get in touch with television. I could go and pitch with the team. There's nothing I don't want to do if it's within my if I can do it. But this is only if the team wants it. It's not things that they need to. The film teams are all different, so I ask them if they want help, and they can say no, and they can say yes. People are different, and we do accept that. So when they deliver material, I invite again the film crew to a meeting. I look at the delivery material first. So I have prepared myself for a meeting or Skype, and we discuss it. Maybe I could say, I don't think I understand your main character, what you have sent me here. I think your trailer could be better. I think the manuscript is on its way, etc. And then we discuss the next step. And the next step could be that they understand that I think it's a horrible project and they should go and work more before they come back. But it's very rarely that it is like this. We could talk about a new development, or maybe they are ready for production support. But it's very rarely that the projects will get production support after only one development. And there are no rules for how many development supports a project can receive. Actually, some of the projects, they have received many development support. And sometimes I even say to the filmmakers, think about if you apply for production support, then you need to find all the money for then the financing plan is sort of fixed, and you need the money, and then maybe you don't have cash flow in your company. So maybe you should have one development more in order to make urgent footage and be totally prepared for the production. And we do have a very nice dialogue about this. We're also talking about where is this film gonna be distributed, where we want to make films for an audience. And if it's now I'm talking about Norway, could be Denmark, Sweden, but the country you are in, it should be distributed in your own country, and we're also talking about in the world. And it could be for cinema, television, VOD, events, and others, and we accept that. It could be in Norway, there are several newspapers who have a small VOD thing, and it's totally fine. And they will not support with a lot of money, but we do accept that this is a distribution as well. All who qualify to apply, and we will have on our website we are reaching out for professionals, as professionals you can be, because I know it's very difficult to be a professional and living full time of the money you make. But I mean, it's just to say that you shouldn't wake up one morning and think that now you feel like a filmmaker, then you are not. I mean, then you cannot apply, or you can try, but we will not accept it. At the Film Institute, you can apply for free, and I really want to stress that it doesn't cost anything to apply. And I think it's very, very important when we are a national supported cultural institution, then I think it's very, very imperative that we don't ask for money for the applicants, because then maybe those people do not have the €100 or whatever it is, and then we might miss something in the artistic area. So this is very important, I think. It's also very important that we give the projects a reason, a specific reason why they get a no. And it's also important that it's possible to give not only one development support, but many, and not especially a fixed number, because all projects are different, so they need different support. And the film commissioner is there to help, not to say no, but to help the best we can. And whenever I support a project, it means that I'm there. I mean, normally I say it's best if you mail me and then I get back to you, but I have, in a way, ambition on the projects, on behalf of the project. I would love the project to succeed at IDFA, in the US, and I help them to help them to get access to all the resources from the institute. We have a small cinema if they need to show the film to a broader audience. We can maybe help. We can help at pits for us. We have a person who is taking care of festivals. We have good producers who can help them think about ideas to find more money. We are there to help, not to have a closed door when they come. I'm a little. Do I still have time, or do I still have time?
You can slowly finish. I think you can take a few minutes more.
Okay. So I just want to. This is a team I supported. A film called Once Aurora. It was selected as the best documentary at Nordic Panorama last year, and I just want to share the financial plan and the development. You can see they were supported twice in development and then in production. And after development 2, I have been writing here. They applied and I gave them a rejection because it was so bad what they did. They were just, thinking, oh, everything is going good. Now we just want to, do a little more of the same. And I say, this is not ambitious at all. So I gave them a rejection and I told them why. And then they shaped up and made a very good application, and I supported them in development 2, and later on in production as well. And here you can see the numbers. The one in the column is in Norwegian crowns, but the final production costed around 449,000 euros, just to let you know. And it was in total, as you see, other supporters. So there were other supporters as well. As always, they can't get all the money from the institute. I also had a trailer, but I think we should go on, and then I'd be happy to answer questions later on. Yes.
When I close the door, I start to paint. That's my universe.
Two paintings were stolen from a gallery in Norway today. The paintings were stolen in broad daylight.
I don't know what to think.
We have identified the thieves. We have not found the painting.
We had his name from the court papers.
Hello?
You might know who I am. I'm just a curious person. What made you do it?
It was your masterpiece.
Since I'm a painter, I'd love to make a portrait of you. I'll ask you regularly to sit here.
I can tell you some more about how I got to be a criminal.
This guy is often quite self-destructive. It feels like that is his way to be seen. You can open your eyes now.
Whoa! What the?
There was no way how I could see the thief in this guy.
Hun ser meg jævlig godt, men hun glemmer av og til at jeg ser henne minst like godt.
I might never find out where the paintings are. Do you know anything about black market with art?
I have told you everything I remember, and that's the truth.
Hvorfor hjelper meg så mye?
You're the craziest person I've ever met.
Let's see what you're doing for me.
You inspire me.
This is insane. This is a very, very sneaky guy.
He's a bad boy, really bad boy. I started to search for the paintings.
You must know where it is. Do you understand the risk?
Don't even try.
Just tell me.
Don't even try. I'm serious.
This is destructive.
So I just want to mention that this is a film which is coming out to you very soon. It was supported 3 times in development and 1 production support. It won a director's award at the Sundance Film Festival, and it's touring around now. And at the very end, I just want to say that the Norwegian Film Institute also support minor co-productions. There's no specific numbers, but around 5 to 8 a year. And it is also possible to have not only the co-production with the Scandi countries, but around the world as well. Thank you so much.
Hello. I can't hear the moderator.
You can.
Now I can.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
hello.
So I'm next in line. My name is Søren, and I work for the Danish Film Institute, and I have made a presentation to share. It, in many respects, follows the information from Helle. As Helle said, we have been working together for a period, and the same system applies for both the Danish Film Institute and the Norwegian Film Institute and the Swedish Film Institute in general. So I will talk about my job as a producer at the Danish Film Institute. So I will get my presentation and then share the screen here. Here you go. Can you see it? I will then take here from the beginning. Yes. Next slide here is about the Danish Film Institute, which is a state institution which is independent. It's under the Cultural Ministry, but the politicians don't have a say about what's actually going on at the Danish Film Institute. It's regulated by a film law. It's the main funding body for films in Denmark. We also have 2 regional funds, and you can also have support from the Danish Ministry of Education and from the Foreign Ministry. That's some of the main funding bodies. We have support based on cultural criteria, quality, variety, and volume. It's part of the Danish cultural policy. It has been so since actually since the 30s, where the governments decided that film should be a part of both cultural and educational for cultural and educational purposes. We have this funding budget you can see on the screen, 53 million euros a year. It's for all sorts of films, development, production, distribution, and connected activities. We support, features, documentaries, etc. Next slide. Funding documentary. We have, I was asked when making this presentation, why do you connect documentaries and short fiction? And it's because it's like that in the film law. We have this joint system, but in practice it means that it's very rarely that we support short fiction. It's mostly for the film commissioner working with children and youth. As you can see, 33% of the budget is allocated to films aimed at children and youth. We support around 30 documentaries a year. As you go with the next slide, we have, like Helle explained, for the Norwegian Film Institute, we have the same system with 3 film commissioners for documentary and short fiction, 2 for adults and 1 for children and youth. And they are also referring to Helle again, individual decision makers. And each film commissioner has this supporting team that includes a producer, which is me, a project coordinator, and a distribution consultants. And we work closely together in these teams. We have weekly meetings, and we have, we have exchange of opinions and thoughts on a daily basis. It's the film commissioner alone who decides which film to support. There's no committee. It's a system that has been developed over many years. Before that, there was a committee, but this committee tended to end up with a consensus decision, which wasn't always a good way to support the films, because you also need sometimes films to be to take some chances, to be edgy, and if you have consensus decisions, it's very hard to agree on that. So the film commissioner alone decides which films to support, but me as the producer, I decide the amount of support. There will be these 3 film commissioners making funding decisions, and they are recruited from the business. Like Helle, she is both a film director and a journalist that has also been editors, directors and film people with other skills. The main thing is that they have a deep knowledge of film production, documentary film production. They can be employed for up to 5 years. They have a 2-year schedule, and then they can be extended. The working period can be extended. What do I do as a Film Institute producer? Among working closely together with the team, I will also be the one that is in charge of evaluation of the budget and the financing plans, and that is done in dialogue with the film's producer. We discuss financing strategies, distribution, and possible challenges. We also discuss, plans B, C, and D for financing. We discuss possible legal challenges and stuff. And after we have been through this period of dialogue, I will decide the amount of supports, naturally in collaboration with the film commissioner, and also with respect to the overall budgets. Actually, sometimes the support can be higher or it can be lower than the applied amount. It depends on how we have this dialogue, because sometimes I see that there is missing funds for certain things in the production. Sometimes I can see that there is some. It's actually possible to save some money on certain parts of the project in order to get it more easily financed. Supporting these documentaries, it differs a lot from funding fiction. We don't have any fixed deadlines, because it's important that you can start development right away. We don't have any sort of script demands for documentaries. Documentaries doesn't always fit into scripts. Actually, they seldom do. We have instead funds for going out shooting immediately, going out testing cast, doing research, etc. We have for documentaries, there's quite long production periods, also sometimes very long financing periods. It's made by small dedicated teams. In Denmark, one producer always says that making documentaries, it's not a business, it's a very expensive hobby. But we try to support the business so that they actually can make some money, because the money is also needed in order to invest in new films, invest in the development of new films. The documentaries also, like I think like in Slovenia and in Norway and Sweden, it goes as well. It has no or little commercial potential. You need to have the economy secured before the production starts, or sometimes during rolling through the production. You cannot depend on that a lot of people will come to the cinema and you are in a tough competition with the feature films. So all in all, the documentaries are highly dependent on public, national, and international supports. We have this funding scheme for initial development. It's a support scheme that we developed after making research with the industry, asking what do you actually need for us to be most supportive. And one of the things was that that the directors needed a quick and simple way to test the idea of something. So we have this small support scheme that can give you a maximum of 6,500 euros. And we have a very quick way of dealing with the application, 4 weeks. And we also demand a very simple outcome. You can apply for this kind of support without having a producer. But as soon as you move on to development support, you will need a producer, and the producer and the director cannot in Denmark be the same person. This has been so for many years, and the idea behind this is to separate the economic and the artistic decisions, so that there will be this dialogue between the money and arts all the way during the project of the film. We can support all sorts of development initiatives. I've written a few of them here. Also, we have here, there's some more. We think that the development support is essential for the documentaries, and like they do in Norway, is also so that you can give several development supports, and it's an easy and in a way cheap in not seen as a business thing, but it's a way to check and test if a documentary has to be made, but also if it cannot be made. Sometimes the research fails, sometimes the cast is not very good, sometimes there are obstacles that cannot be overcome. So the development will tell if these things work or if they don't work. It can also clarify the way that you can make the film, and it can also give you alternatives. I'm sorry if there is some noise. It's because I'm sitting in my home office and there is some people repairing the roof. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I hope you can. I tried to tell them to be a little quiet, but let's see. Okay, we also have naturally funds for production, and as I said before, all funding is dialogue based. We have no fixed amount of supports. The support is relative to the project. We can, of course, we look at the project, what is actually needed to make this film come true. Sometimes it's a film that has a strict national issue, which is hard to finance internationally. Then we will have a higher amount of support. Sometimes it's a film that has a regional, and with regional I mean Scandinavian, Nordic, a Nordic scope. It can be financed in the Nordic countries, and sometimes it's an international film, international potential, and then we will have a lower part of the financing, but we will still help the film to get out and to reach pitch for us and reach the international financiers. All films need to have a Danish distribution to get support. Mostly it's a Danish broadcaster, public service broadcaster, but it can also be theatrical. many of the films that we support comes in different versions. So we do not differ between feature documentary and TV documentary. A feature documentary could also be a TV documentary in a shorter version. As TV is an important part of financing both nationally and internationally, we often support productions that has different versions and also have both sort of art house financiers and broadcasters on board as financiers. When we support with a letter of commitment as a proof of basic financing from Denmark, and then the budget can later be adjusted according to the financing that you have obtained. We also allow overhead and administration fees. We see this as a way of securing the films. The overhead is and also a fee for insecurity, or a fee for helping extra costs is a part of the budgets. Then I will take the last one. I don't know, maybe I'm too speedy, or maybe, I don't know.
You're okay.
It's okay, I'm going okay with the time, okay. So, like I just said, it's important to know the funding potential of the film, and that's one of the things that I discuss with the film's producer. It's also good to know competing titles in the market, especially if you go internationally. It's not so good to fish in the same pond as others, or you have to at least be aware of the film so that you can distinguish your film from other films on the same subject in the markets. It's also important to have more scenarios for financing and production. It means that you have to have a plan B and a plan C for financing and production. You can have a huge ambition, but you also has to be able to sort of reduce the ambition and to find cheaper alternatives in order to make the film come true. Otherwise, you will be stuck in financing for many, many years, and it doesn't really fit with the urgency of most documentaries. Also, you need to be open to different formats, both in order to get financing but also in order to reach audiences. For instance, we are talking when we are talking about funding films for young people. It's hard to distribute these films in a very long format to the youth of today. Then you will probably need to split it into shorter formats, or to make series, or to approach the audience in a more proactive way. And then if you're not very experienced, then you need to have get experience on board, and we will often promote that. We will promote that someone who is not very secure in how to make the films, that they have consultants and people surrounding them, a team of experts, or a team of other film people that has been dealing with the same subject or the same problems. And that is also something that we support. And then for the people going abroad to finance, it's very important that we are the first, the Danish Film Institute are the first funders, and we are secure funders, so that you have a sort of proof of concept when you are going abroad, you have the stamp from the Danish Film Institute that this is a good project and we trust in you. And then it's also important to network and collaborate both nationally and internationally when it's possible. I think this is the final slide. For the Danish Film Institute, the main thing is that we create dialogue and trust between the filmmakers and us, that we have this individual assessment to the projects, both in terms of the dialogue, the artistic dialogue, but also in terms of the financing. Every project is different. We have no fixed amounts of support. It's also important that we have us working with the film funding, that we have an inside knowledge of filmmaking. Then, as I have stressed, the development is very important. Also, development from a very early stage, sometimes several development phases. And also this flexibility in definition of development goals, saying that you don't need to have a script, but you can make visuals, you can have photos, you can have reports, you can have test shootings, and you can have pilots, test pilots and stuff. Many different ways of developing documentaries. And then we can it's important also to collaborate, to educate and to distribute the films. Thank you.
Thank you, Soren. And when all those films are finished in Danish and Norwegian Film Institute, they come to the hands of festival selectors. One of them is Rada Šešić. Hello, Rada, and can you present us what you festival selectors search in films? And maybe I would ask you, because we in Slovenia don't have the right definition of what creative documentary really is. Maybe we can start with what creative documentary is.
Thank you, Sinisha. Well, actually, greetings to all. It was very interesting to listen to my colleagues, and I could actually use the slide of Helle, what was her criteria to choose a good film, creative documentary. I could just repeat the same, and actually I will a little bit elaborate on that. So just want to say a few words about my background. I'm from former Yugoslavia. I was a filmmaker there, and then during the war, I lived in Sarajevo, and during the war in Sarajevo, I left for the Netherlands. So since '93, I live in the Netherlands, and as a film director, made also 4 films here. And then I started working for festivals as a festival selector for IDFA, but also I stayed active in the region. So I'm head of the documentary competition in Sarajevo. And therefore, in my presentation, I will use examples from both sides, and I will try to see what are the weaknesses and what are the strengths of one or the other, and how we can learn from those who are already experienced more and working well. So I will talk about what is creative documentary, but also then who is making documentaries and for whom, and what are the experiences of the festival and national funds on the both sides, as well how to reach the visibility on the national and international scene. I mean, I can just share some experiences and give some hints maybe. And also how to enrich the presentation of the Eastern European documentaries in general on the world documentary scene. So if we start with the first, Nika will help me with some of the documents.
Yes,
yeah,
I'm here, you can see me, Rada, and you can hear me, right?
Yes, yes, sure. Yeah, so we can open.
You will navigate me what to
open
show.
The first document. So if we talk about, I have a little bit of echo. If we talk about creative documentary, what is creative documentary? Certainly, I would generally say it's not a journalistic piece, because documentary maker is an artist who is working within art language of cinema. So what is very important is this stage of research and development. And I'm so happy to hear from my colleagues that in the Nordic countries, this stage is taken very seriously in consideration, and that they can prolong to filmmakers this applying period and so on. And that's exactly what I see as a missing point in our region. We cannot, of course, say Eastern Europe is all the same, because we have Poland, and documentaries in Poland have a great tradition, and they work very meticulously on supporting documentaries, and also on educating filmmakers in the direction of documentaries. We have there Andrzej Wajda Documentary School and some others. While in the other parts of the Eastern Europe, not all film schools include documentaries as a separate direction. So I would say that this part of research and meticulous work on preparation for the project, getting acquainted with what actually is the topic, and getting very deep and spending time, meaning it takes time, makes a big difference between, let's say, television documentary and creative independent documentary. What also Helle and Soren mentioned, the vision of the director is very important. So this striking cinematic language. So maybe, Nika, we can have a second document as well. So I select films for the competition at IDFA, but also I select films for the Rotterdam Film Festival. And you can see already how some festivals make a distinction, how they look, what they are looking for when they talk about cinematic treatment of a certain topic. I want to, for example, mention film of Vlado Škafar, Letter to a Child, that was premiered in Rotterdam. I'm sure that audience in Slovenia and maybe some international also still remember this wonderful film. So we can approach the similar topic or the same topic from a different way. So this point of view of the filmmaker is extremely important. For example, now Nina Blažin is making film about a cancer patient, and she was participating at the Balkan Discoveries. So that's why I know this project. And her look at the topic is very different from many other films. And of course, many filmmakers do tackle similar topic, like we have so many films from the prison, and sometimes we at IDFA joke like we can make whole festivals of films that talk about prison only. So it all matters how the particular filmmaker is looking at this topic. What is this new insight into the society, what is this freshness and originality? And of course, the documentary film has to stimulate critical thinking, and it shows in a way how certain society breathes. What is it is in a way thermometer of a certain society. So we can see exactly what films are being made at some parts in some period of time. And for example, if we talk about documentaries about the falling of former Yugoslavia, we see that certain parts, certain new countries and documentaries coming from there have a certain view from distance now today and talking about this particular event in the history. What for me is very important as a selector is that the documentary film provides certain experience. When I go to cinema, I really want to feel I have been somewhere, I learned something, it made impact on me. I'm not the same person anymore in certain way. So I will think about this particular topic more, or I will see it from another angle, or I will think about later on. So the film is not like you watch, which happens with some, let's say, mediocre fiction films. You see the story, you watch, you entertain, you go out, and you forget. With a good quality documentary film, you really want to know more. And I was very intrigued, for example, with the film that Helle was talking about and showing us the trailer, what actually happened there, and who are these people and everything. So it's something I want to see this film. So it's not like I want to read about it. No, I want to see it. So when we talk about what is important is also who is making documentaries. And when we think in our region, unlike in the Netherlands or in the Scandinavian countries, where and even in Czech Republic, where film academies do have a separate department for documentaries. In many countries of the East, still it's being taught as a directing in general, spending maybe 1 semester or 2 semesters in 4 years to the documentaries. And I think that even school is not the key word. I think feeling of vocation, feeling being passionate about it, feeling being having a need to tell certain story, to speak about it, having really dedication as a person, as a human being, to talk within cinematic language about something is very important. And then when we talk about for whom the documentary films are being made, well, of course, the easiest answer is for everybody who wants to watch. But I think countries like the Netherlands pay a lot of attention in channelizing certain productions and certain distribution towards certain audience. So we have in the Netherlands a lot of documentaries for children. They're not entertaining films for children. They are films that speak about problems that children encounter. So it's not that they're not for adults, but they are close in their expression, in the way how they are told to this young audience. So really the Netherlands is paying so much attention to the young audience, also educating them how to look, how to watch documentaries. So working on media literacy and supporting those documentaries that are specifically expressing films for children and speaking about children's problems. When we say for whom they are made, again, I would say the audience is broader and broader. There is statistics that there are about 10,000 documentary films made in 1 year in the whole world. And a lot of films find their place in different small communities and in different institutions and so on. But there is a big number of very well-made films that really circle the whole world. So everybody wants to see these good quality films. And also a lot of celebrities like Leonardo DiCaprio and some other are now producing documentaries, are being interested to speak up about certain topic. When we talk about what we can learn from the experience of others and from more developed festivals and national funds in other countries, that also connects with the point 4, how to get this visibility nationally and abroad as well. I would first of all say that it is important to have understanding what are our weaknesses and what are our strengths, to sort of estimate where we stand. For example, the Netherlands cinema industry in the Netherlands is kind of aware, although they make a lot of fiction as well, they're kind of aware that they are much better in making documentaries, creative documentaries than in making fiction for the international audience. So if you follow the scene in the last, let's say, 20 years, you can see that documentaries are from the Netherlands broadly being screened at many, many festivals, also being bought by sales agents, international sales agents. Although fiction films, I mean, this kind of looks contradictory. Dutch films won 3 Oscars in the last 35 years, and 1 Oscar for animation. However, bigger number of internationally appreciated films comes from the documentary scene than from the fiction. So they recognize this is their strength, and they are putting a lot of efforts to work with the documentary production in a way, similar way like Nordic countries do, but still I admire how the system is, what Helle presented, very focused on particular project and being really tailor-made. So in Holland is close to it, but not yet there. If one can say that it's easy in the Netherlands, I mean, Netherlands makes about 30 fiction films, feature-length fiction films per year, and about 50 feature-length documentaries per year, and about, let's say, 80 more middle-length and shorts and student documentaries also, and for those for kids. So altogether we have more than 100 documentary films made in these different segments being supported, including some films that are kind of hybrid, going to fiction and documentary and so on. So one can say, okay, it's easy, the Netherlands is a rich country, but what about smaller countries, fewer number of the also inhabitants? The Netherlands has 7.5 million people living here. So let's go to the Baltic countries. So maybe Nika, we can see this Baltic statistics. So I found this Baltic statistics from the 2018. I was going there for many years, more than 10, to the Baltic Sea Forum. They have fantastic place to present projects. And it's not only Baltic countries, it's also Scandinavian countries, Germany, Poland, or some other that deal with the topic from the Baltic. Also Russian projects they have at this Baltic Sea Forum. And there I encountered this very organized way of dealing with the production, with the distribution, with the approaching project in a way that they can get whatever they need, as much as they can give, from the beginning till the very end, till the international promotion. So if we see Latvia, for example, you see that they produced in 2018 10 feature-length fiction films and 30 feature-length documentaries. If we go to Lithuania, it's a little bit different. They had 28, and then they produced also 22 documentary feature-length productions. What is important is that if you go, that the films are being screened in cinemas, and if you talk to a common person in the Baltic country, like in Lithuania, they would know who is Arūnas Matelis or who is Oģijus Tonis. They would know in Latvia who is Laila Pakalnina and so on. So documentary makers got the same level of appreciation on the, let's say, this national film scene. And the documentary films entered cinema very broadly in the whole region. So they also share films, Baltic countries, among themselves. And I also think that's very important. Maybe we can go down, Nika, to see Estonian statistics in the same document. So in Estonia, you can see that how much they give for the documentary production. So when we talk about money, it's not that they give huge amount of money. It's more that they kind of take care in a different way. So for example, they have a strong alliance with other countries. They have so-called North Star Film Alliance with Finland, and Helle probably knows about that. So it's Estonia, Latvia, and Finland. They have main partners and associative partners there. And that includes National Film Center of Latvia, Film Service Producers of Latvia, and Business Finland. So they make alliances in order to be stronger, to be present on the international market, on international scene. So to conclude this part, I would say it's very important to support documentary production in all stages, to provide also money for the beginners, because that's something that is also very important in our region. How to begin? How do you get support for your first project? Because in our region, in many countries of Eastern Europe, documentary cinema, documentary scene is seen as the first step towards fiction. So people are not really passionate about documentary so much. They're passionate about cinema in general. So while walking towards getting money for fiction, they're making a documentary, or they're making short film, fiction film. So they don't want to stay in a documentary scene. They want to go further. And very few, if you think about how many documentary makers we have who really dedicated their career to documentaries only, it's not so many. And if you think about how many producers produce only documentaries, and those are then very knowledgeable about funds, about sales agents, about festivals, way how to go further and so on, how to guide the filmmaker. There are not so many either. So I think this is, let's say, one of spaces where we can all work on strengthening these parts. When we talk about how the festivals can help, but I just want to say one more thing when we talk about focusing on supporting documentaries. For example, Italian Film Fund had some time ago, I don't know, is it now, they had for all kinds of films, they had a person who was called Signor Negativo. So he was there to ask complicated questions. Somebody who would, in the stage of application, in the stage of development, trailer, first rushes, rough cut, and so on, who would be invited, I mean, different people could be, and then ask, difficult questions. Why? These questions, why it's like this? So it's not only that it's not good, but it's like, why is like this? What is the motivation for this? So very similar to mentoring job. I'm working now as a mentor at the master of the Dutch Film Academy. So it's very similar to this kind of job where you work with a certain person who is working on a certain project, and you want to know more and you want to know the answers. So it's not only that is like this with I don't know why, but you really want to know answers, so in order that the person can apply later on this knowledge. When we go to the festivals, IDFA started more than 30 years ago, and of course it started as everything starts, with the first step, with a few films only, with only like 2,000 people coming and screening mostly Dutch films there. And you see in 30 years, IDFA grew to more than 300,000 paid visitors. The same as Rotterdam Film Festival. So it's very interesting that documentary festival has the same number as the festival that is predominantly fiction feature oriented. During IDFA, people travel from the Netherlands, from all cities to come there. they plan, they put in their agenda, they look in the beginning of the year, when is IDFA, this AHA day, so we put in agenda to make yourself free to go to IDFA to watch a film. So it's a branding as a must-be place. And most of people, especially young people, suffer from this new illness, which is called FOMO, fear of missing out. So people go there not to miss out, to be part of this huge event. This year, of course, IDFA is adjusting to this new time, new reality in the Corona time. So they will go to the cities. So they won't invite people to come to Amsterdam necessarily. So IDFA is planned to be in many, many cities. The first plan was in 60 cities to go. And now it's a little bit less. Not all of cities are ready to collaborate. And of course, this is possible because infrastructure is there. Every small place in the Netherlands has some kind of, cultural house, if not cinema, where they can screen films and where they do screen films. And I mean, I was there several times in really like a little bit bigger village, and they have this house of culture, very similar to what we had in the former Yugoslavia, like Dom Kulture, where all kinds of events are there, and they would screen at least 2-3 times a week cinema. So here now also this place is a screening documentaries. So IDFA now goes there in this Corona time more than before. Then what is further very important is to make an event, to make people feel that they not only have seen this film, but there is event around. So IDFA goes to Film Institute and opened a program called IDFA on Stage. In this IDFA on Stage is not only that music documentary, so then we have a concert. And by the way, one of the biggest and most beautiful events of one time IDFA was a concert of Laibach when it was screened, their film, when Laibach was performing in North Korea. So it's always connected to this kind of event. But as I'm saying, it's now not only music, it's more than that. It's all kind of different performative elements that can be used to attract the audience. Then what is also important is that the festivals don't work only on the promoting film as a festival, as a cinematic experience, but also they have very elaborate debate about the topic, what this film in particular is bringing. I remember we wanted to bring to Sarajevo the main character of Siniša's film, this woman who was ex-mafia member. And I'm very happy that she got a lot of media attention now at Zagreb. And the film is at Zagreb Docs, right, Siniša? And, you know, we are in Sarajevo also trying to make this kind of events, to make characters from the film present, because why audience come? They come to experience something new, to encounter something that they don't know, to meet these unusual people or ordinary people who actually are extraordinary, which they understood from the point of view of the filmmaker. So maybe we can, Nika, show some photos from Sarajevo with guests, different guests that we invited. We are trying to, yeah, this 8, 9, and 10, maybe we can show. Yeah. So, for example, this man came to Sarajevo Festival. He's from Romania. That's from the film Planeta Petrila by Andrei Dascalescu. He came with a big van and he was showing his work. He's an artist. Everybody wanted to have a photo with him. This was a big event in a city like Sarajevo that has 300,000, 400,000 inhabitants. So it's not only about film, it's more than that. So we had also film from Hungary 2 years ago, Euphoria of Being, about a 90-year-old Holocaust survivor who danced modern dance in one piece, and this is part of the film. So they also came, and the young dancer was performing on a street in front of cinema. Maybe you can have other photo. So these are Turkish ladies who came with the film Queen Lear, and they are from the village. They have a village theater, and they all came. They have never been abroad in their life, and they brought the spirit of this theater to Sarajevo, to the festival, to the audience, and it was really something very special. And the next slide, Nika, maybe we can see it. So this is the main character from Honeyland. I don't know whether you recognize her, Hatice. She's not at Q&A session. She's singing for us at one event because she sings very beautifully. She sings in the film as well. And the makers of Honeyland, and that was all before being nominated for Oscars and everything, they brought also small jars of honey that she produces for the whole audience. And they're also trying to sell to make money for her and so on. So I'm just saying it's very important to make an event. And that's what we can learn from those who are doing it well and who are thinking in advance very much how to prepare the promotion of the film. So it's not only screening the film, but really making events. So it should come from both sides, from the side of the film festival, but also from the side of the film team. And then, of course, the National Film Center comes in by supporting this, because the festival won't be able to pay for the guests to come. It's always both ways. They have to meet somewhere in between. So I was thinking, when I was preparing this presentation, and when I heard the topic, I was thinking, how can we strengthen documentary presence? Because I see that in many countries from the, let's say, southern from Austria down, documentary is not present on the international scene so strongly, but there are filmmakers who are really strong and deserve that. So filmmakers like Petra Seleškar, who goes to all festivals on her own, with her car, with her family, and makes films, and is known, and Rok Bicek is known, and of course, and Matija Živanishin, and so on. There are many, many more. And I think if we have a hub, for example, for more countries, a documentary hub, let's say at the festival in Maribor, Doku Dok, which already has certain tradition, and where I was visiting some time ago, I think we can figure out how this international guests could come and get acquainted with the local production as well. For example, now in Utrecht city, where I live, just finished the National Film Festival, Dutch Film Festival, where they have separate program in English. So they have for all international guests a separate parallel program. It's a festival of fiction and documentaries, but they pay attention both equally to fiction and documentaries, and for the international guests, everything is there. So they choose the best. It's English subtitle. They have talks and so on. So I think there are a lot of space to kind of fill in and to improve. I must say that this REACT workshop is one of the beautiful possibilities of joining forces. So there are countries like Italy, Slovenia, Croatia, now Serbia joined also, that also gives a lot of emphasis to the documentaries. Dokuravkat Boutique, maybe we can see now photos that we skipped, Nika, from Dokuravkat Boutique in Sarajevo. It's a regional platform. Sorry? Yes, that's 5, 6, 7 photos. It's a regional platform that already exists for 10 years. Yes, you see, we can have our Scandinavian friends here present, you can see. And we give a hand to strong creative projects of filmmakers from 20 countries. So it's not a small region, it's really bigger region, seen as a bigger region. and try to work within different trajectory in 3 parts now. Before it was 2 parts, now it's 3 in Budapest, Sofia, and then the last part is in Sarajevo. It's similar to some other workshops, to some other platforms existing in other parts, but this is specifically for the region. And what is very important also, the application fee is very low. It's only €1,000. And I think the filmmakers can get a lot of benefits from it. Maybe we can have another photo of this. Yeah, so we see here the Slovenian participants, and one more photo. Yes, so you can recognize our moderator. And I think what is also important is to strengthen the critical view on documentaries by educating young film critics, because this is a kind of one part of the chain that is totally missing. Who is looking at documentaries from the film journalist's point of view, from a film critic's point of view, who is writing about them? Usually they find place in books some years later on after they are made. But I think what is looked at in a documentary when we read in the media is mostly the topic, not the film itself. I don't hear you, Nika.
Okay, I'll try it like this. We are lacking time. I just wanted to mention that we are coming close to the end.
Yeah, I am close to the end. We can see the last survey from Jihlava. So Jihlava Film Festival did this fantastic survey. I don't know whether you had the chance to see it before. I guess yes, because they screened in Cannes first, and then they screened at some other places as well, where we can see the percentage of representation of the Eastern European documentaries at the big festivals. And we can see that at CPH Docs, there are, I think, 8%, 9% Eastern European documentaries screened. Okay, even if we don't open them, Nika, I know that the statistic is 9% at CPH Docs, the same percentages at IDFA, then at Vision de Riel is 13%, and of course at Jihlava is much more because they screen a lot of Czech films as well, and they do pay attention for the Eastern European films. So the question is how to bring more Eastern European documentaries to the international film scene, to the festivals, but also to the sales agents, to cinemas, and so on. And again, we come back to strengthening the forces at home and working on the national weaknesses, and then going abroad. For example, what happened, I think it's unbelievable, it's fantastic success of Macedonian documentary industry, that Film Honeyland was nominated for an Oscar in 2 categories. This never happened to any documentary in the history of Oscars. And that is so important to draw attention to one small film country like Macedonia that doesn't even support every year documentaries, that supports maybe 2 per year, that such a country can deliver and can make worldwide important, successful film. For example, film from Croatia, Srbenka, has now released in German theaters, and unfortunately it's now Corona time, but this was planned already 2 years ago when the film was made. And his previous film, Gangster of Love, Nebojša Slijepčević, was also released with success in cinemas in Germany. So there are a lot of potential, and only this jump towards visibility should be there. But I think it's important to be present, and that's where, of course, the role of the film centers comes in to be present with films, with filmmakers, with partners in debating and so on, and to look how to strengthen and home to bring people and to connect with other countries. I also think that to educate the local audience, to bring film to cinemas and to give classics of documentary cinema. For example, in Slovenia, Slovenia has fantastic cinema history. So to give these classics to be seen at home and abroad. For example, I made some years ago for Doc Leipzig, film from ex-Yugoslavia, and film Xenia on Tour by Philip Robert Dorin was screened. And it was, wow, it was fantastic success because people realized that hybrid type of format has been invented 40 years ago. So it's nothing new. And young filmmakers got really excited and inspired. So let's stop here and yeah, and let's include, you know, strength from all of us to support the film scene from the Eastern Europe to reach the platform in the whole world. Thank you.
Thank you, Rada. Always a pleasure. So we are now at the end of the presentation of our international guests. I would give a few minutes for the questions, if there is any question. If not, there's the lunch break next.
Excuse me, but you are muted. We don't hear you.
I apologize. I don't know what's with this sound.
First of all, thank you, Helle. Thank you, Soren. Thank you, Rada. My answer first would be, first and most important, is that this is first step in changing our space. What we want and need is promotion of good practices. Therefore, I'm happy that among the listeners in this hall are also some journalists, because to do bigger changes, we need good promotion of good practices and the results. I think what we heard today is very valuable. I mean, it's simple like that. In some changes, we will need to change the law, which is not a small thing. In some changes, we can do it ourselves, but whenever you do small repairs, wherever in the house or in the system, then it's unbalanced sooner or later. So doing small changes is not something that I'm in favor with. I like the idea of commissioners, therefore, this is why I like the Scandinavian way, how decisions are made, and this is why you were here to promote your practices and present. It's us who will promote now. But I don't know if we are ready as a society to go strictly in the way where Scandinavia is with commissioning. I think we need changes, and many of things said today I'm in favor with. Being a producer, a director at the same time in Slovenia, for example, is almost a rule. The producer is at the same time a director. What I hear from Danish Film Institute, that it's been since a long time that this is not the right way. Something in favor, yes, but we need to discuss within the sector and exchange. Am I open to not having a single call a year, but being opened? Yes, of course I am, but we need to change the law. My question for Helle would be, okay, Norwegian Film Institute has 77 million euros for film. We have 5.5. So we are very afraid all the time that the money will be gone in February already if we open it to like for the whole year. It's not, I agree with Helle again that comparing projects is something we shouldn't do because each project has its own identity and prosperity and everything. But did you ever experience that the money was gone and you had 5 projects on your table in November, for example? I don't know. This is something that we are afraid of in a place where there is not a lot of money. Of course, I like the idea that applying is free. In Slovenia, you know that the government put in place a rule that each applicant should pay a fee for applying. We have many things to solve, but I'm in favor of going big changes and putting in place a new law and a new system at the end of the story, because to implement many of these changes that we would like to, as good practices you experienced, we will need to go into changing law, which is not overnight, but an event like this and presentations of good practices, as we heard today, we will need, and this is why we organized the event. And of course, in the meantime is also a question of discussion within filmmakers and with them. I hope that online, many of you of filmmakers from Slovenia are following this discussion, that they will be equipped with what we heard and reflect in the afternoon session what they see as being a need of our space. For this, being a producer and director, this I didn't know. I knew many of the things that are good practices in your area, but this is, for example, something new. So my answer is, this is a place where we start discussion, and then the discussion follows within the sector, which we will do first step this afternoon with filmmakers, documentarists. And the next step, of course, is building proposals for a new system. And this is what we are talking about, and this is what today's event is all about. In the current how I would say, in current system and rules that the law and the whole package is offering, there are very few changes that we are able to implement without big changes, without changing a law. This is what I mean with big changes. Yeah. So Helen, maybe if you hear me, maybe you answer me with, did it ever happen with 77 million euros that there were projects that you wanted to support, but there was no money left in the envelope?
I hear you perfectly, and it's a very wise question because we support around 20 productions a year, I say. And well, it happened that there was a production, not a development, because a development, they can sort of stretch a little. There was once a development, a production, and I told them, listen, I'm gonna support you, but I don't have the money right now here in November, but we have the new budget fixed in January, and there you get the money, I mean, in your hand, so to speak. So yes, but there was a solution also.
Okay, thank you, yes.
And can I add, I think you are, I just want to acknowledge what you are doing and telling that I think this is, you are writing history. I think this is very brave. And I just want to say that if I can help in any ways, I'll be happy to help.
Thank you. Thank you. You are already helping, all three of you. And I am sure since you were part of today's nesting format of what to do, we will keep you posted and engaged in these changes if we follow as we are planning. It's not a 2 weeks process, but I'm sure that we will keep in touch and bring you on again when we get a step ahead, probably. So Nika is doing like, yeah, she is taking care of the time, so I will need to, instead of Sinisha, not instead of him, first me. Thank you very much. And then I let the space to Sinisha to conclude if he wants to add something. Thank you very much. We'll keep in touch.
No, I would not want to add anything else. I just want to add a big thanks to all three of you there. Hope to see you soon, someone in real life. And I hope that will be a first seed in development of Slovenian documentary scene. And of course, you will hear about it if we will be successful. We have another discussion at 12:30 with Slovenian documentary authors. Let's start rolling this stone. Thank you very much.